You're listening to Thunderquack Podcast Network. This is the Thunderquack Podcast, the official podcast of Thunderquack Podcast Network, where anything can happen. So strap yourselves in and hold on to your butts. It's Thunderquack time!
Hello and welcome back to the Thunderquack Podcast, the official podcast of Thunderquack.com, which you can get early every Tuesday over at patreon.com/Thunderquack, just like our Patreon producers, Brian Murawski and JJ Samuel do, or you can wait and get it late every Friday on podcast services across the galaxy. I am one of your hosts, Michael Cohen.
And I'm your other host, Amanda Conkin.
Man, I don't know why these 2-week breaks feel so long. It always feels like just like so many things happen in the span of 2 weeks, and yet it also feels like we were just recording.
I'm more error towards the second side, where I'm like, I feel like we just chatted, but we haven't. It's been many weeks.
Yeah,
mind you.
There's lots and lots and lots, but
you talked a lot about Shang-Chi last week by yourself.
I did talk a lot about Shang-Chi last week. An hour and a half by myself.
Amazing.
Not all of that was about Shang-Chi, but
I made my friends go see it when I was visiting them. I was like, let's go see this movie. And I bought tickets and we did all of our other stuff. And then I booked it in for 10:45 because I was like, we're going to be done all our stuff by then. We can go watch Shang-Chi. I was very excited.
Most of the listeners will know how I feel about it, and they can probably predict how I felt about it. I loved it. How did you feel about it? Just real quick. We're gonna save the big conversations for enough said.
Big conversations for an actual, but yeah, no, it was. I had a great time watching that movie. It was. Yeah. It was just a lot of fighting. But the thing is, too, I like all Marvel things. Like all the stuff that Marvel does is just I know what I'm getting into. Yeah. It's gonna be a good time. I did not know that Ben Kingsley was in the movie. I don't know why. I just didn't know that. And so that was cool.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't spoil that for you, because when we were talking a few weeks back, I skirted around that for you and for the listeners.
I appreciate
it. Because if you could avoid that spoiler, then it's better as a surprise for sure.
But they came out with posters with his face on it, after the weekend after it came out. So.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, he was at the
premiere,
red carpet premiere, right? Yeah. So, there were. In fact, there was a point in time where it was announced that he was
part of it
in the movie, but it was sort of one of those things where it was announced, but it was sort of not announced. Right. It was very quietly announced, and everybody just kind of forgot.
So I have a question, because I think it's in the trailer, so I don't think it's a spoiler. But who is the green guy that Wong is fighting?
Abomination. So that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy from The Incredible Hulk.
Why did I think he was a different color? I thought he was a different color.
He's definitely usually more of a brownish yellow.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of that was the lighting in the environment. And that he is more of sort of that grimy yellow color.
Okay. I just didn't. I thought, because I was okay, good. Thank you. That was my only
There is a brief hint in the actual movie where Wong calls him Emil, which Emil Blonsky is the Abomination. But like you said, he's in the trailer. It's not a surprise, and it's actually it's hinting at She-Hulk, because he's in She-Hulk.
Right.
But interestingly, Tim Roth not credited, I don't believe, in Shang-Chi, because Abomination doesn't say anything.
Right.
Doesn't talk, just grunts and attacks, right?
The way to get away from it.
So
Yeah.
Tim Roth not credited because he doesn't perform as the character, but Tim Roth will be in She-Hulk. So so this is a little bit of a setup and recontextualization of the character. Although no spoilers for What If, but that also has played recently with the Incredible Hulk mythology, and actually put Mark Ruffalo in the time period of the Incredible Hulk, which is really cool because it's always been whiny Mick pretentious pants.
Wait,
What's his face?
in which episode of What If?
The Fury's Big Week episode. I don't know what if.
Has that one hasn't come out yet?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's the one. It's the one where all of the Avengers are being murdered.
What if the Avengers? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that one. Okay, yes, I remember that now. Okay, yeah, they used it as Ruffalo. Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, because who's the other guy? Who's the Fight Club guy?
Edward
Norton. Thank you. Yeah, who just absolutely sucks.
But it's Jennifer Connelly was actually in What If, wasn't she? Like it was actually her.
Was it? I don't know if it was actually her.
For some reason, I feel like I look every time I watch an episode of What If, I Google, is this the actual actor?
Well, no, because it wouldn't be Jennifer Connelly. It would be Liv Tyler, because Jennifer Connelly is in the Ang Lee Hulk.
Who's in the Ang Lee Hulk? Who's Hulk?
Eric Bana plays Bruce Banner.
Oh yeah, that's the one I remember. Oh, you know what I just realized? I have not seen the Edward Norton Hulk. I'm just realizing that. Oh no. What? Have I not seen the Edward Norton Hulk?
No, there's no way that you haven't seen it.
No,
there's no way that you haven't seen it.
I don't think I've seen it.
No, that's impossible. That's impossible.
No, I don't think it is. I think I have never seen the Edward Norton Hulk, mostly because I didn't like Edward, because I saw the Eric Bana one. I definitely have seen the Eric Bana Hulk. I don't think I've seen the Edward Norton Hulk. Oh my gosh, this is a revelation for me.
No, you've definitely seen the Edward Norton Hulk. You just haven't seen it since 2008, probably.
No,
you've definitely seen it. There's no way that you've watched every MCU film except for the Incredible Hulk.
There's 100% a way that I've been, because I think that I rebelled against the fact that it was a different Hulk than the one in the actual Avengers, and then I was like mad, and I was like, well, that doesn't count.
But that didn't happen for like 3 years.
I know, and I don't think I watched the Edward Norton Hulk, because I actually don't think I've seen, because in the Bana Hulk, oh my gosh, okay, now I have to, because it's called the Incredible Hulk, right?
No, that one's just called, the Ang Lee one is just called Hulk. It's not called, it doesn't have
exactly, the one with Eric Bana, or with what's his face?
Edward Norton is
called the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, I don't think I've seen it. I'm gonna look it up. I don't think I've seen it. This is gonna be a fun weekend for me. I get to watch it.
Oh, well, don't get your hopes up.
Well, I know.
It is not. It's at the bottom of the barrel. The only one worse than the Incredible Hulk is Thor: The Dark World. And look, Thor: The Dark World, it has excuses. It has a whole cavalcade of excuses for why it ended up being a train wreck of a movie.
Dude,
I've never seen. The Incredible Hulk doesn't have a good excuse.
I'm reading the plot in like Wikipedia. I haven't seen this movie. I saw the Eric Bana. I always just assumed that I'd seen it because I saw that other one.
I didn't. I never thought that I could be this disappointed in you.
I know. I'm disappointed in myself because
this is incredible, Amanda. This is incredible.
I don't remember anybody but Jennifer Connelly as his girlfriend. What? I 100% thought that that's who she was.
If we didn't have people on Patreon paying for content that require
right now
to be fed, I would for the comedic bit, I would say the podcast is done. 10 minutes in, go get a pumpkin spice latte, because that's who you are now. You're the podcast is over, and until you fix this,
anymore, until I fix
you cannot be on the Thunderquack podcast. Go put
I have to
on
watch this,
your black leggings, a
and I'll
white
just sit
long
there,
sleeve
like,
shirt,
in my
a puffy
basic
vest.
yeah.
I thought calf height boots, and go get a
Oh,
pumpkin
yeah.
spice
I
latte
just
and stand in
I'll
a field with 13 other women who
I
look
know.
exactly
I'm
the
so
same,
excited.
dressed like
I will
Han
do that.
Solo.
I did not I've never seen Liv Tyler. I've
That
never
was the
seen her
most
do it.
elaborate way to say basic bitch without
I
saying
know,
basic bitch,
but I love
but
it
then
so
I
much.
just said it
But it
twice
was
in a row.
you did, but that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will watch this. I will watch this movie. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that I've never
I
seen this movie. Liv Tyler is in it? I did not know that. Like, I know Tim Roth, but I'm actually now realizing that I don't think I've ever seen Tim Roth. Was he in Who was in Hulk? Because wasn't Abomination in Hulk as well?
no,
Who was
Abomination's not in Hulk.
Yeah, see, I don't think I've well
Who's the
then.
bad guy in the Hulk? The bad guy in the Hulk something else. Oh man, what is the bad
Uh,
guy in Hulk? Did you hear that? Did you just hear the chaos that just
I
happened
heard
outside
I
my door?
heard I heard Crystal and some
Yeah,
talking, so yeah.
yeah. Oh, who does Nick Nolte become? I think he
Thunderbolt
becomes
Ross, Nick Nolte. Oh right, yeah.
Absorbing Man or something. Is it Absorbing Man? I think it's Absorbing Man, because he absorbs a bunch of stuff. Yeah, yeah, it's
I'm
Absorbing
now
Man.
also though reading the plot for the Hulk, and I barely remember this movie. But yeah,
It's just Hulk.
definitely I don't remember.
There's
Just Hulk.
no,
Yeah, yeah.
there's nothing
Hulk.
else, which
Just
is
Hulk.
why we colloquially refer to it as Ang Lee's Hulk, so that we're not
Ah,
just saying,
that's
"Hey, have
right.
you seen Hulk?" and then people go, "Which
Right.
Hulk are you talking about?" You say
Right.
Ang Lee's Hulk, because then people know that you're talking about the really really bad one, and not just the really bad one. It sucks because the Hulk has some great, fantastic storylines in comics history. Um,
But they
and
just
they
haven't
adapted
used
a
them in the
little bit
movie.
of Planet Hulk into Thor Ragnarok, which was cool, but really just like so little of it. But there are some incredible, pun intended, Hulk stories out there that deserve to be brought to the big screen. But now we're in this crappy situation where like Universal owns the rights to the Hulk in movies, in standalone movies, so he can be in other people's movies, and he can be in the Avengers, and all of that sort of thing, but he cannot have a movie adapted directly from one of his stories without Universal being involved. And like, Sony, just for context so that people understand, Sony as a company does not do particularly well. Like, just overall, they have a very large war chest, from years of being like the main manufacturer of all electronics in North America. I mean, from Japan to the North American market. They don't really hold that place anymore. I think that there are a lot of other companies, Samsung, LG, uh, that have kind of taken over parts of that market, and really, like, PlayStation keeps them alive. That's where the majority of their profit comes from these days. And then Sony Pictures, every, e- 1 in 10 movies from Sony Pictures is a box office success, not including the Spider-Man movies, which are a different thing, right? So Sony is in this position where they have to, they basically, they keep trying to be tough guys with Marvel and Disney, and then Disney just goes, "Fine, we just won't make any more Spider-Man movies with you, and you won't get any of that profit." And eventually they come back and go, "Okay, okay, okay, we'll do it." So like, they keep, and they get stuff out of it every time, like there's, certain little concessions here and there. um but Universal is Universal, and like, they've got the Fast franchise, which is the second biggest franchise in the world right now after Marvel, right? And I mean, like, you can argue it. You could argue it goes back and forth, right? Um, so and they've got Jurassic Park, and they have like a whole stable of very successful properties, and then they just make other random movies as well that aren't, uh, blockbuster tentpole. So like Disney can't like strong arm Universal into letting them play with the Hulk any more than what they get to do. So you see, like, I the Fox acquisition was a big boon for them because there are a bunch of characters that are associated with the Hulk directly that actually aren't Hulk characters, and and She-Hulk is one of them, because She-Hulk is actually, I think, either first appearance might be Avengers, or it's either Avengers or Fantastic Four, but I think that She-Hulk, the reason why we're getting it now is because she was in the Fox deal with Fantastic Four. And then they, they acquired Fox, and now have the ability to tell stories with She-Hulk, so they're bringing her in. Oh, she got her own thing. So her first appearance is Savage She-Hulk #1. But she has been a member of the Fantastic Four, and very closely tied to those characters and stuff. So it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, they've got that character back, and now they can do this. And so they have a perfect avenue to bring in the Hulk in She-Hulk stories, and yeah, it's like a whole thing. So we're gonna see a whole bunch of those characters and stuff like that popping up in She-Hulk. But I we're way too far into the future, though. We are so far in the past and so far into the future that we're not talking about what's right in front of us today, and that's the new
Right.
trailer for Hawkeye
Right.
that just dropped this morning. Which I was already excited for this. Which, I'm gonna say something. I don't care about the Eternals right
Okay.
now. Nothing that I've seen from the Eternals gets
Devastating.
me like amped. Like, I'm gonna go see it, and I'm probably gonna enjoy it. I like a lot of the people that are in it. It looks really cool. I love the design of the characters. But it doesn't, like, there's nothing that they've shown me yet, like that recent trailer that came out. It was like, okay, cool. Yeah, this is definitely more of what this movie is going to be about, but I still don't know what this movie is about. And the most impressive thing right now is the cinematography, which, like, it barely looks like a Marvel movie in a very positive way. Like,
Yeah.
I just visually it looks amazing. And it looks like it's going to be like more of like an epic sort of. When I say epic, I mean like a Lawrence of Arabia, Ben Hur,
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ten
Yeah. Yeah.
Commandments type epic, right? It's got kind of that vibe to it. Um, but I say that to say that, like, I'm not like crazy about every single thing that's on the slate right now. There's a lot of stuff that I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. Hawkeye was one of the things, because we know that it's so closely based on the Matt Fraction stories, which are phenomenal. They're so good. It's one of the ones that was like at the top of my list. I don't understand the hate for this character that's out there. um I understand some of the controversy around Jeremy Renner, and I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I kind of do the three monkeys, the covering my eyes, covering my ears, covering my mouth thing, of like, you know what, I can't. I'm overburdened at the present time with too many things that actually matter that I need to
I
care
didn't
about.
know that there was something that I should care about for
Oh,
Jeremy Renner.
I think
So.
that there's
Oh
some
wait, we
like
went over it a little
dom-
bit before, and I
domestic
think we
stuff
were
or
okay.
something like that. Like, not to that makes it sound like I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not that. It's just so like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just one of those things where it's like I just don't have the capacity. I just want to be a bad person about this one, and just enjoy Arrow guy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing that I'm really excited about with this one, with Hawkeye, with the series, the Disney Plus series, is that it's a passing the torch story. Like
Right.
this is Jeremy Renner on his way out of the MCU, I think.
Right.
um and I think it'll probably be a couple more stories before that happens, but I do think that this is him handing over the bow and arrow to Kate Bishop and her taking over that role.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, it's I but it looks fantastic. The trailer, I was already excited, but this looks, it's a it's a Christmas story.
That's the
Like it's,
coolest thing, is that like it just really does look like a Christmas show, which is just
yeah.
like fun and unique and neat and cool, and I don't know. Like it's gonna be great. It's gonna be just
I
fun and what
was
people want.
I was not prepared on September 13th to wake
To get
up
excited for Christmas.
and be put into the mood for Christmas. But yeah, but they did it. Like
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it looks great. We got Haley Steinfeld, who is uh awesome. Just she's so good. She's, have you ever watched True Grit, the
No. Oh
cowboy
no,
movie?
I haven't. No, I haven't seen that.
That was sort of like her debut, right? Many years ago when she was a lot younger, and she showed so much I mean, to say that she showed promise implies that she wasn't amazing in that. She was, but
Right.
it was
She
one
was,
of
yeah.
those things where you're like, if she's this good now, she's going to be such an amazing actress
Right.
when she's had more experience and just sort of life to put behind her her choices, right? um and she's done some really cool stuff. One of my favorite things that she's in is Bumblebee. And like she
Oh yeah,
carries
I
that
did see
movie.
that and she was awesome. Yeah, Bumblebee was
Yeah,
great.
she
Bumblebee was
carries that
so
movie,
fun.
right? Because it is
It's so fun.
mostly, it's
It's her.
mostly a big
It's just
yellow
hers.
robot that doesn't
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
um and she's perfect for Kate Bishop. uh uh Pizza Dog is in this.
What's
uh
pizza talk?
the golden retriever, their dog. There's a dog.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's a
Called
character in
Pizza
the
Dog?
comics, and
Oh, okay.
it's what I said. Like this is relying really heavily on the Matt Fraction stuff, but then it's also the sort of the stuff that we saw from the trailer is that it's really um sort of taking the 5 years and Hawkeye becoming Ronin and all of the stuff that he did during that time, and sort of showing us the consequences of those actions,
Right.
which I think is interesting, and I think it will be good. Um, so yeah, like I'm really excited about it. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. I think everybody was sort of waiting for Hawkeye to get his own because he wasn't in so many of the like he was only really in the last one. And I think people would talk, and it also looks light. Like he's like the right kind of person. I know that he was Ronin, but it's also like the right kind of person to star in like a Christmas. Like the only other person that could do this type, this tonally, would be like Ant-Man, right? So
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it'll work. It'll work well. Which I don't know.
I'm really excited to have this character. Not, he's not on his own, because obviously it's a buddy cop situation with Kate Bishop. But I'm really excited for him to be the focus of it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this is, and we said this when we did our Black Widow enough set. Like to me, the biggest mistake with Black Widow is that it's a movie and not a Disney Plus show,
Right.
because I think that if Black Widow was a Disney Plus show and each one of those scenes in it was an entire episode, like an entire 40 minutes of story, that would have worked a lot better for me, and that's what we're
Mhm.
gonna get with Hawkeye here. So yeah, I'm really excited to dig into him as a character, and and to get a little bit of the um I think I I'm just a big fan of the stories that are the consequences of actions, you know? Like it's like especially when we have the big event movies and things happen in them and we're going from this character to this character to this character and there's not a lot of time to really like talk about what's going on. So it's like Tony Stark goes through a wormhole and throws a nuclear missile at a bunch of aliens and then almost dies, almost gets lost on the other side of the galaxy and then crashes into the earth and all that stuff. And it's like and then it's like, oh, I saw this shawarma place. I don't know what shawarma is, but we're gonna go get shawarma, right? Like
Right, yeah.
like Avengers doesn't give you time to deal with that. And then Iron Man 3 comes in and is like, "Hey, we're going to spend 2 hours talking about it." And it's really funny because I've actually seen a lot of people going back to Iron Man 3 recently for reasons to do with Shang-Chi. And and then coming out of it and going like, "Oh, this movie's actually really good." And we all kind of gave it a hard time. And it's like it's really funny because Iron Man 3 I think was the first I mean it was the first movie in phase 3, but it was the first one post team up. And now we live in a world where it's like we get the team ups, right? And then we get everybody splintering back off and telling their individual stories where they carry the consequences and the weight of whatever happened during the team up, right?
Mhm.
And some of those are better than others. but this is a I think this is a really good example of a way to do it well. It looks like it's shaping up that way. Same as Iron Man 3, same as Ant-Man and the Wasp was another one that was a really good like, hey, Ant-Man went and ran off irresponsibly with Captain America and got involved in all of that and got caught up in it. And there were consequences for these other characters. And so Ant-Man and
Right.
the Wasp is all about dealing with all of those consequences, right? And it's and alongside the awesome action and the great humor, there's a good heart to that story because it is about him making it up to Hope and Hank, right?
Mhm.
And it just it gives you those layers and stuff, and and as we always talk about with this stuff, it makes the whole thing matter when we
Right,
have
go
those
backwards.
through lines into the
Yeah.
stories. It makes it so that it's like we get these rewards for being involved in all of it and being invested in all of it. So yeah, I'm down for arrows and Christmas time and pizza dog. I'm excited.
Pizza talk. I love it.
Go just everybody should just go read the Matt Fraction Hawkeye stuff if they're interested in knowing more about sort of, the direction that this is going to go. But yeah, and there's lots of stuff in it that there's lots of stuff in this trailer that points towards that and some of the storylines and that's very exciting. Um I think that's it. Do you have anything else to say about Hawkeye?
Other than I'm excited for it, no.
Okay.
I don't know.
Uh then
Fishing.
let's switch gears and talk about another trailer that recently dropped, and that is The Matrix Resurrections.
Don't
Now,
get mad at
here's an example of something that I did not give to John Wicks about. A week ago, I could not care less. A week ago, and then this trailer hit, and I
me.
was like, I need to go. I need to go back.
I
I need to
didn't understand.
rewatch those three movies because
I didn't know that it was coming. So it
yeah.
completely, but here's the thing. I don't remember if I've seen the third movie. I actually straight up don't. So when I'm watching this trailer, I'm like, wait, what happened in the third movie? Which was so
So the third movie is the one where he realizes throughout the story that they it's this is not the first Matrix. Like they've
no, so I don't think I
yeah,
think I
they've
know that.
rebooted the Matrix in the past,
Oh.
And there's always like the one always basically like the one heralds the end of an era of the Matrix, like a version of the Matrix. And I think the one
Oh.
from the first three movies is the seventh iteration of the Matrix.
What?
Um, yeah,
Crazy.
and I mean like the first movie
Wait,
implies this.
is the third one the one with all the TV screens in a room, or is that the second one?
Yeah, no, it's the third one.
Okay,
I
so then
think,
I have seen it. Okay,
or
okay.
maybe you know what? Maybe it is the end of the second one. The architect might be the end of the second Matrix.
Because I actually don't know. I don't think
It's
I've
been
seen
I haven't watched them
Revolution.
since the
But
early
what you're
two
saying
thousands.
now, that's what I needed, that context. Because that
Yeah,
context I did not have. I didn't remember that from the original ones. His name is Bane? What? Who's Bane?
I don't know.
Sorry, he's somebody from this third movie.
I don't know. There are so many characters in the
Right.
second and third movie. It's like they just start introducing. They're like, hey, here's these two guys that are like albino. They're ghosts or something. They can go through walls. And
That
here's
was in the
another
second
guy
movie.
that's a vampire. And yeah,
I haven't
this
seen this
this
third one.
one's a
Again, I'm reading the
werewolf.
plot. There's a lot of movies that I'm discovering I need to watch from the
Yeah.
2000s. I guess, is this from the 2000s? It is. Yeah.
Well, the first
The
Matrix is
aughts.
1999,
Yeah, I
and
know.
then yeah, the
This
other
is,
two
yeah,
are
2003.
they're both 2003, I think.
Yeah.
Right? There, one is summer 2003, and one is
They
December.
both came out.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, May and December. Yeah. Um, yeah. I need to go back and rewatch them. I think I need to look at the schedule. I'm gonna put it on the calendar. So I'm gonna give us dates to rewatch these movies
Okay.
so that we can kind of talk about them in the lead up to this. Because this trailer is 110% hype, and
Oh
it
yeah.
looks fantastic. Like this, it
I
actually
love The
looks like it
Matrix.
has something to say.
Like,
So
and the fact that it's both Carrie, uh what the heck is her last name?
Carrie Ann Moss.
Carrie Ann Moss. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That Carrie Ann Moss and Keanu Reeves are back for it is
yeah.
really cool. I don't know. I just think I love The Matrix. Like, the original Matrix is one of my faves. That
Uh,
was one of the first things I did when I got out here, was make an homage movie to The Matrix. That was like one of the first things I
yeah.
ever shot when
Your
I came back to Vancouver.
60-second movie, or were they
The
60 seconds?
Matrix
Yeah,
rebooted. Yeah, 60
yeah.
seconds. It still exists on YouTube, I think. Super fun.
It's really
No,
hard to
it's on
find because
Vimeo.
there's a
It's
lot
on
of
Vimeo.
sorry.
It's on Vimeo. I actually don't think it's on I don't think
Yeah,
it's on
yeah.
YouTube anymore. But yeah,
Um,
I made a fan film of it. It was for a contest. But it's like,
yes.
if I literally could have chose any movie, and that's the one I chose because it's the best. It's the best.
I don't know if I would say that. It's a very, very good, very cool movie that is it's it's baby's first auteur film. That's what it is.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Right? Because it's like
Baby's
it's very much, and I think generationally, because of the age that we were when it came out, it's very much designed um to teach developing teenage minds that movies can be more than just a series of events. um
Fair. Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
because prior to that, you're watching the Little Rascals and Disney movies and whatever, and going like, yeah, these are good movies. I like Jurassic Park, but you don't understand Jurassic Park. You just like dinosaurs, right? So you're like, what's your favorite movie of all time? I don't know. I really like Free Willy, right? And it's like, okay,
Everybody
there's
likes
nothing
Free
wrong with
Willy.
Free Willy. It's a good movie, but it is very much just a sequence of events, right?
Right.
There is some thematic stuff in Free Willy of like the whale represents his need to be free, but he's also has to find a family. The whale wants a family. There's family stuff. It's a kids movie, but so there's a little bit there, but it's not very nuanced, and there's only one theme. And the Matrix was like, hey, guess what? Movies can be awesome and also mean something. It's like they can also be about stuff. And it's like, well, what's the Matrix about? a lot of things. And even more than that, in 1999 it was about a lot of things that we were not ready for, and
Right.
and that maybe even Lana and Lily Wachowski were not ready to talk about themselves yet. So but I really want to go back and I want to rewatch these movies specifically with an eye on that lens, on the Matrix as an allegory for like trans experience, right? Because that is something that, like, when I was 13 years old or 14 years old in 1999 watching the Matrix, it I wasn't there. I didn't understand. Um but now it's like, okay, I would like to think that I'm a lot more evolved than I was when I was a teenager. I think
As we
that's
all
not,
would, as we
yeah,
all
I
would,
think that's
yeah.
not too bold of a statement to make. But yeah, I really want to go back and watch through all three movies, understanding that that this is an allegory for an experience that is not my own, because Neo on the surface looks very much like a classic white male hero's journey archetype. And that's there. It's not devoid of that. That's definitely there. The Matrix, especially the first one, is a textbook hero's journey, just like Star Wars, right? Like
Right.
it
Yeah.
is Campbellian monomyth stuff, for sure. It gets murkier as you go into the trilogy, and I think that that's where it lost a lot of people, is because it stopped being about the monomyth and started being about this other stuff. And by the third one, when you get into like the whole futility of it, of like, I guess not to spoil the third Matrix for you, Amanda, if you haven't seen it yet, but just like, it's it's a bit of a downer, it's a bit of a bummer, because all of the stuff that they talk about in the second movie of like, oh, like they go to Zion, and the the whole thing is like, we gotta defeat the machines before they find us. And then the third movie is they find them, right? And it's the final stand against the machines. And it doesn't go great for the humans, because they are hopelessly outgunned by the
The machines.
millions of octopus tentacle monsters, robot things. Although they do have rad exosuits that with machine guns, right? Like with
Yeah,
these big gat guns on.
I've definitely never seen this movie. What?
Um,
That
but
sounds rad.
and then beyond that, there is an idea within the third Matrix film, which is one of the reasons why I need to watch it again, so that I can really like get this down. And because I'm pretty sure, and no one has been able to confirm for me in the last week, as I have tweeted several times asking the internet, I'm pretty sure that one of the main takeaways from the third Matrix is that the quote unquote real world that they wake up in is another level of the Matrix. That,
Oh.
like, that the machines designed
Oh.
they designed a shell world outside of the Matrix for the people who couldn't accept
Deal
the
with it?
Matrix. So a
Dude.
person like Morpheus had somewhere to go and a purpose,
Right. Okay.
but that they could keep him as a battery, because
Huh.
if he thought that he had his freedom, that he wouldn't
Then he
go
would be,
searching
yeah,
another level deeper, right?
right.
um to discover that real world is also another Matrix, right? Because there's a moment, again, not to spoil it, but you've had so long to watch this, there's a moment where Neo does some stuff in the real world that you're like, wait a second, why does he have Jedi powers in the real world? I thought that was just because he was in the Matrix. It is there something more metaphysical going on in this story, or is he still in the Matrix, even though we're saying that this is the real world, right? Like, and the
Oh.
movie doesn't, I don't, if I remember right, and again, like I said, I haven't watched the Matrix Revolutions, since I would say 2005 is probably the most recent that I watched it. So we're talking about 16 years ago, if I've watched it that recently. Um, it would have been during film school, so it would have been between 2003 and 2005 after it came out on DVD. So I'm very excited to go back and rewatch these movies on my very big 4K television. And I've watched The Matrix more recently than that, like the first one, but um not the other two, because I was always just like, they're bad movies. Why would I watch them? But now I'm like, wait,
Gotta watch them. Gotta watch
are
'em.
they bad movies? Or
Yeah.
were we just dumb at the time and not ready for what they're actually about? Um
Not ready for this jelly, man.
and you know what? You know what's really funny is that, like, John Carter is one of those things where it's like where I think you and I, especially at the time, were like, people just aren't ready for this movie. The further away I get from 2012, the more I'm like, you know what? John Carter might not have been that great. Um, I still love it. I love a great many things about it, but then at the same time, I'm like, every time I sit down and go like, I should watch it. It's on Disney Plus. I have this great big TV. I haven't watched it in a long time. And then I think about the scene where they're on the elevator and Matai Shang is like just talking to him, and it's just like he's just frozen and he's just talking, and that
Yeah.
scene goes on for like 10 minutes, and I'm just like, yeah, I think this movie might have had some pacing issues. I think this movie maybe has some problems. They should bring it back as a Disney Plus series. Anyways, I so if I could be wrong in that way, then I could also be wrong the other way with The Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions. I don't know. I want to watch them again, give them another try, and see what's what, because maybe time will have softened them. I or they might, it might be like the prequels, where it's like, the further away you get from the prequels, from having watched one of the Star Wars prequels, the easier it is to be like, no, Attack of the Clones is a good movie. Attack of the Clones is actually a really good movie. It's really good. You're wrong. It's really good. People are just lame, and it's really good. And then you watch it and you're like, are we still on Naboo? Can we please be anywhere but in the room with these two characters? And it's just like, it is what the kids these days call cringe. At the same time, it's like I've managed to completely justify all of that canonically and thematically within the story of like, yeah, of course it is. These are two people who do not belong together and just want a bone. That's it. That's their whole relationship. And that's why it goes horribly wrong, is that
Wow.
neither one of them cares about the other one. They care about the idea of being with the other one.
Wait, sorry, which movie are you talking about right
Attack of the Clones. Attack of the
now? Okay,
Clones.
okay.
Padme and Anakin.
The idea of being okay. Yeah.
They are less interested in who the other person is as they are what the other person represents to them, right?
Okay.
Anakin is just trying to fill the void that his dead mother has left.
Right.
And Padme
Yeah.
was really nice to him on the spaceship, remember? And she's very pretty.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm in
A
love
lot.
with her. And it's like, no, you love her.
Yeah.
You're not in love with her, you love her. But also,
Okay.
the Jedi, because they all grow up celibate and weird, they don't know how to deal with you and your the first 11 years of your life having been a slave. So they're not, no one's talking to you about these situations in the way that you need to be talked to. They're talking to you the way that they would talk to the other Jedi. So nobody prepares Anakin for like, obviously the Jedi don't think about it, because they're like, hey, send Anakin with the pretty girl. He's like a 19-year-old very pretty boy, and she's like
Gonna
a
go well.
20
It's gonna
something
go
year
well.
old very pretty girl. What's the worst that could happen? Yoda's just not thinking on that level. He's just, he's just like, yeah, this will be fine. This will be totally perfectly fine. And then that infatuation turns into a very twisted romance between those two characters. And then when Anakin is forced with the idea of not possessing that person anymore, he loses it and becomes Darth Vader. It's actually it when you look at it in that with that lens, you can sit through Attack of the Clones and go, okay, it can make sense for the story why these scenes are so awkward and difficult. And it's because like this is two people trying to pretend like they're mature adults that are not mature adults, because really all they're thinking about is the other one naked. And so all of their interactions are just horribly awkward and weird and gross. Because they're just like, Padme's just like, "You don't touch me" the whole movie, and then all of a sudden right at the end she's like, "Kiss me with your pouty Jedi lips now, do it now, because we're about to die and I don't want to die not knowing what that feels like, so lay it on me, Jedi boy." And he does, and then they're like, that was rad and we're gonna do more stuff later. And
But they're not very good. Their chemistry is garbage. It makes me so
that's the
mad.
point though. That's the point, is that it's like they don't, that's what I'm saying, is that like their lack of one-to-one human compatibility is completely dwarfed by the fact that they're both incredibly beautiful people that would just look really great together naked, right?
Right.
And that's
Okay.
the overriding force that brings Anakin and Padme together, which is why it's not about it's not about love in the end. It's about possession, and why Anakin turns to the dark side,
Right.
because he
Okay.
can't
Okay.
bear
Okay.
to be without the thing that he possesses, right? As
Michael.
opposed to when you
Michael.
get to when you get to Rise of Skywalker, Ben Solo understands that
Mike.
to love Rey is, like, to be willing to sacrifice himself, which sucks because he shouldn't be dead. But yeah, what's up?
This is a Matrix podcast, not a Star Wars podcast.
No,
How
this
do
is
we
the
always?
Thunderquack
How
podcast,
do
and
we always?
if it doesn't relate
Always
back to Star Wars, then we didn't do our job.
didn't do something right. Is that like the hashtag of the Thunderquack podcast? Is we'll always get back to Star Wars somehow. Yeah.
Everything is Star Wars at the end
Everything
of
is
the day.
Star Wars.
Everything
Sure.
is Star Wars.
Matrix, Star Wars. Hawkeye, Star Wars. Hulk,
Except, yeah, okay,
Star Wars.
but the Matrix is Star Wars. Like, you understand that, right? They're like it is. It is.
Sure.
That's why, like, in 1999 when the Phantom Menace came out, it was like, I remember that summer, and I remember everybody being like, I don't know about this Star Wars movie, but hey, that trench coat gun kung fu movie, that was some real stuff. Like,
There
that's
you
the new
go.
Star Wars. And it's like, there's always, whenever a new Star Wars is coming out, there's always headlines about this other movie that's the new Star Wars, right?
Right. Okay.
it,
Okay.
it always happens. Anything that's sci-fi fantasy, Harry Potter is the new Star Wars. And it's like,
No.
was it? I don't
Nope.
I don't think that
Who
it was.
said
Like, I think it
Harry
was a very
Potter was
different
the new
thing.
Star Wars? The
Everybody
franchise
in the
was.
year 2000 through 2005,
Like maybe
Harry
that it was
Potter
going to be the
was the
next.
new Star Wars. That was, everybody was
That it
like,
was going to be
Harry
the
Potter's
next
the new Star Wars.
franchise, not that it was like comparable.
Oh no,
I don't know.
100% everybody was talking about it like Harry Potter is going to be
Well, that just seems
like
ridiculous.
bigger than Star Wars. And I like, the interesting part of that is that it absolutely could have been, but they made two really bad movies after they finished the ones from the books. And did
Oh
the third one
yeah.
ever come out? Has it come out yet?
Fantastic Beasts. No,
Yeah.
I don't think. Or I mean, if it did, I did not see it. I just saw the two. Like really reluctantly. I think I made sure that I watched the second one, like on something. I don't know, something where I was like, I don't want people to know that I watched this movie. Anyway,
I've never seen the second one. I've never seen the second one.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
not great.
2022. is when Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 3, which is just how it's currently labeled, comes out. And yeah, they got rid of Johnny Depp, uh, but they still have Ezra Miller, so you know they're not
You lose them, you lose them. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but also still associated with J.K. Rowling, which means that we don't give that money,
Which is the larger problem. Is she getting
which
better
really
yet?
sucks.
Like,
It
when
really
is she
sucks.
gonna
But
be better? She should be better.
yeah, well, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I
Frustrating.
I but yeah, every so often, everything. I mean, like I'm sure people said it about like the Hunger Games when that was the biggest thing. And you know, like
Well, yeah.
there's always something. Like right now it's the Marvel movies. People will be like, "Oh, these Marvel movies are the new Star Wars." The new Star Wars isn't the new Star Wars. The Marvel movies are the new Star Wars. Like people say stupid stuff like that all the time. And it's like actually the first 3 Star Wars movies are the only Star Wars movies that will ever exist, and everything else is just fan fiction. But that's fine. It doesn't
Wow.
matter.
All right. All right. That's a.
Oh, I'm including the prequels in that, which were written and directed by George Lucas, right? Like
That's fair. That's
it's
fair.
all
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all just like, hey, but what about this? And doesn't matter. None of it really matters. It's just they're just movies. I don't know if you know that. I don't know.
What?
People
The
on the
movies are
internet,
life.
they they act like they're not just movies. I don't know. I don't know if you've
I
ever
mean,
experienced that in any
yeah,
capacity
I think so.
that
It
they
tends to happen that
yeah.
people don't really realize, but you know,
I mean, I literally have shrines to characters
yeah.
from these films in my home, within 5 feet of me. In fact, I'm within 6 feet of 2 shrines of the same character. I
Is it Han Solo, Ben Kenobi, or Tony Stark?
It's Obi-Wan. It's Obi-Wan.
Obi Wan.
I don't have the only Han Solo that I have. Well, that's not true. So I've got the little Lego Han Solo up there, and then the little Lego Han Solo brick head there. But then other than that, the only Han Solo I have is the Disney Infinity one. I mean, I have action figures from when I was a kid, but like in terms of collector's stuff, I actually don't have a lot of Han Solo stuff. I used to say a long time ago that my favorite Star Wars character was a tie between Han Solo and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And when I bought my 4th Obi-Wan Kenobi statue, I literally, like, it's on social media. I get it every year on Facebook. It pops up where it goes, I don't think I can actually say that it's a tie between Han Solo, who I don't own any statues of, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, who I now own 4 statues of. And that wasn't even my last one. Like, and then I bought 2 more after that. So,
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
you know,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, and one of them is the second most expensive piece in my collection. So I
Wow.
I the
Your
most
Obi-Wan,
expensive.
your like big Obi-Wan one where he's like standing in the cloak is like so cool.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, the only piece that I have that's more expensive than that, that's like a bigger deal than that, is my Superman.
Yeah.
Who
I mean, they're both epic. They're both epic.
Yeah, both sideshow, both premium format or whatever. But the Obi-Wan is the Mythos one, and then it's the sideshow, the premium format Superman, and then Iron Man's now with them. The end game Hot Toys Iron Man.
Wait, I don't
So.
have I seen that one? When did you get it?
No, you wouldn't have, because
I don't
I
think I've
got
seen that.
him around my birthday this year.
Ooh.
So yeah, you haven't
Yeah.
been in the studio, the
Yeah.
office, since he was acquired.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Nice. I'll have to look at that one or see it soon. I'll come hang out with you guys soon again.
Did we do it?
Did we do it?
Did we make a podcast?
I think we podcast. We
Yeah.
did. I think
Is
we
that
had
a successful
and I think
podcast?
it was relatively on track the whole time.
We talked about Marvel.
Yeah.
We talked about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then we talked about something else
As
geeky.
always. That's always that
Did we
sounds
say
pretty
anything
standard.
political?
I'm sure we did early on.
I
We were
mean,
definitely
we definitely like cracked the window on J.K. Rowling is a
there. You go.
turf
Yeah, yeah.
and
There you go.
doesn't deserve
There you go.
any of the recognition or anything that she has anymore because she's forfeited all of that by being an awful person. So I think saying that and then talking about the Matrix and saying like, hey, we need to revisit this with this
New lens and stuff. Yeah.
trans inclusive lens, I think
Yeah.
is the way that I'll phrase it, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that we've done very good work in terms of being allies for that specific group
Let's hope.
of people this
Let's
week.
hope.
Not to
Let's
pat
all go do
ourselves
that.
on the
Hey,
back,
guess what?
but
And just so you know, everybody else, if you want to avoid being a basic bee, go watch The Incredible Hulk if you like me.
you can say it.
Tomorrow.
They say bitch on Riverdale, and that's on at like 8 o'clock at night on
Ooh,
the CW, right?
yikes.
Like it's not. It's that's not right. PG-13 is where we skirt.
That's
And I
fair.
say we skirt the line of PG-13 because of PG-13 you get one F-bomb, right?
Ooh. And we don't even allow
And
ourselves
we don't
any
use
F
it.
bombs.
What is the
There you
most
go.
skillful use of the single F-bomb in a PG-13 film? Do you know it off the top of your head?
No.
It's in X-Men First Class.
Oh.
Do you remember the scene?
No, I
When
don't.
Xavier and Magneto are going around recruiting everybody and they
Oh,
go up
yes.
to
Yes.
Wolverine
Yep. Uh-huh.
and he
Best
just
use.
two
Best use
words.
of it. Yep. Yep.
It is the
So
best
good.
use of the single F bomb
Oh,
in a PG 13
100%.
movie of all time.
100%. 100%. Oh
Nobody
yeah.
has topped it.
So
I
good.
don't think anybody will because Hugh Jackman's not playing that character anymore. So it's one of those things
Ooh.
where it's like in
Can't
memoriam
beat
to
it.
Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Like we just got to keep that in the top spot
There you
forever.
go. There you go. It's fair.
Cool. I That's it. We did it. It's a
Good times.
podcast.
Woo, podcast.
Thank
I
you.
really think it would have been a little epic to just stop the podcast and make me go watch The Incredible Hulk. But another time.
It.
We
Yeah.
like you all too much.
I really
We like
wish I had the guts to
gimmicky,
to do
right?
something like
Yeah.
that, but
All good. Enjoy the podcast instead.
it really, this is the thing is that because then we would have been like, but don't worry, the uncut one that costs $10 has another like half hour, right?
Right. Yeah,
It's one of those things where it's like, is this just a stunt to get me to go pay for the
yeah.
$10 stuff?
Yes.
No, so you know what?
We're good.
Just relax about it, all right, guys.
Okay.
Jeez.
Okay. All right.
That's it. We're done. There's
If you're
nothing
in
left to
Canada,
say
go
this week.
vote. Go vote because by
Yes,
the time we
please.
talk next time,
Please.
we'll have had an election. So
And what is it? What's the website? Strategicvoting.com, I think is the website. Definitely just give it a quick browse if you're in Canada and you're going to vote, just so that you
and check that you agree with the candidates in your writing.
yeah, so that
and
you can
that
make
you're
sure
voting for
but
somebody.
here's the thing. This
It's
whole
not strategicvoting.com. Don't go to that website.
It's not okay. I put in
Like it's shit.
strategic voting on Google and I think maybe strategic voting Canada and it came up. But are you looking for the proper website?
Yeah, because if you're gonna direct somebody to a website for voting, it's .ca because we're in Canada. Dun dun dun.
Okay, .ca. Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Strategicvoting.ca. Because here's the
This
thing.
is so depressing. Their tagline is "Don't make a statement, make a difference." Ugh,
Yeah.
that's gross.
Yeah,
I hate that. I hate everything about what we're hawking right now on this podcast.
It is gross, but unfortunately, because of the state of our voting system in Canada, this is the only way to ensure that the Conservatives don't get power again. And they're working real hard for it with a lot of Trumpian politics. And it's not going to stop at just getting into power. They're going to keep going with that nonsense. And try and be America Junior again. So we gotta make sure that does not happen.
And I would say mostly pay attention if you're in a swing district. If you're not in a swing district, vote with the candidate that follows your heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Whatever is like in line with you. Otherwise, there is something to be said about finding the candidate most likely to represent your values should they otherwise fail in the district. I don't know. It's just sure. Go to that website. They tell you stuff. Now we definitely did get political. I'm sorry. I just had to like make sure before we
did it.
Signed off that.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. And that's it. That's it for the episode. Now we're definitely done. Now that we've told people how to vote, we're definitely done for the week. For the next 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, by the time that we come back, this is what I'm talking about with like these 2 week things. By the time that we come back, we'll know the results of that election. We would have been podcasting on election night otherwise, which would have been interesting. But oh man, that Green Party with that little 3% sliver, it hurts. Because that's how I'd love to vote. I'd love to vote for the Green Party, but
the federal Green Party is different than the provincial Green Party too. Just also pay attention to that.
Sure,
that your provincial party might not align with your federal party. Unlike in America.
We always have to have that conversation when it's time to do provincial politics, because it's hey,
liberal doesn't mean you're liberal. It just means that you call yourself that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh boy. Cool. Thank you guys for listening. Next week, so we're doing the new thing, right? So next week is actually Faster, More Intense. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you're going to get that episode early. You're going to get it on the Tuesday in the Thunderquack feed, no different than you would with anything else. If you're not a Patreon supporter and you're just subscribed to the Thunderquack podcast feed, there will be no episode in the Thunderquack podcast feed next week. Go over to Faster, More Intense and subscribe to that, because I'm going to be doing an episode recording that next Monday with Marie Claire from What the Force podcast, which I'm really excited to talk to her about some Star Wars stuff. We're gonna talk about Star Wars Visions, even though it won't be out at the time, but we're gonna talk about it, and with the sort of using it as the framing device to talk about canon and whether or not I actually hinted at it a little bit in this episode, but canon, whether or not any of that matters and what canon even means when you're talking about mythology and sort of mythic storytelling. So go over there, listen to that. Yes, it is a Star Wars podcast, but it's like I said this on the off the record last week when I talked about this a little bit. It's a Star Wars podcast, but like we just use Star Wars as an excuse to talk about other stuff. So we're gonna get into like I said, like that mythic storytelling stuff, and
it's almost the inverse of this, in which we use other stuff to talk about Star Wars. So one way or another.
So we're gonna relate everything back to Star Wars, but really the conversation is gonna be about which applies to Marvel, it applies to DC, it applies to all of this stuff where everybody's like worried about who said what, when, and where, and how big a Star Destroyer is, and all of that sort of stuff, which is really not of any consequence to storytelling. So we're gonna talk about all that next week on Faster, More Intense, and so that'll be replacing metaphysical fiction. And you know what? If not putting it in the Thunderquack feed is a mistake, let me know, because I can very easily just put it in the Thunderquack podcast feed as well. And then you guys get it there and you don't miss a week, and you don't have to do anything. So if that's what people would prefer, just yell at me on the internet and I'll do that, because you guys are by virtue of Patreon and download numbers, you're our boss. So
there you go.
I'll listen. I might not do everything that you ask me to do, but I'll listen to everything that you have to say. So cool. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of the Thunderquack podcast. But that's it for this one. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Stay safe, everybody. Wash your hands and be kind to one another.
Follow the Thunderquack Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook by searching the Thunderquack Podcast. You can support us in 3 ways. First, by heading to the podcast service of your choice and leaving a rating and review. Second, by going to store.thunderquack.com to pick up some merch from your favorite podcasts. And last but not least, by heading to patreon.com/thunderquack to kick in with your monthly pledge of support and get cool rewards like early access and extended episodes. The Thunderquack Podcast is the official podcast of thunderquack.com. Head to thunderquack.com to discover more great podcasts.